sound of Universal Broadcasting Network at upnradio.com.
Welcome to Connecting Spirit and Guides with medium Christine Seabold. Christine has been a psychic medium for many years, and with the help of her grandmother, she was able to strengthen and hone her abilities. As she grew up, she began using her gift to help people find answers to important life questions that they needed guidance and direction for. She's committed to providing the closure, direction, and guidance people need to move forward with their life in a more positive light. Right here on Connecting to Spirit and Guides with medium Christine Seabold.
And here she is.
Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, Christine. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Welcome back from your wonderful vacation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Feeling all refreshed and ready?
I'm refreshed and ready. It was just what I needed.
I was saying before we went live, I said, you just went on 2 trips. You went on your past life regression, which was an amazing experience, and then just got back from your Bahama vacation.
Yep, my cruise. It was great.
Oh, that's awesome. That's on my bucket list, to go on a cruise one day.
Oh, it's
You've
fun.
done it a few times, right?
Yep, I've done it about 3 times. And, it's great because there's plenty of things to do on the ship. They keep you entertained.
Uh-huh.
So in the process of getting from to New York to Florida, they keep you entertained. And then, you get off the boat for a day and then you get back on in the evening. And then it takes a couple more days, a day or so to get to the Bahamas from Florida. And then we were supposed to get off at their private island in the Bahamas. And the weather was so bad that they couldn't put us in those little boats to take us to the shore.
Oh, wow. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So apparently people have broken limbs trying to get off the big boat onto the little boat.
Ooh.
So I was okay with that. I was like, that's okay. We can skip that. So what they did was we got to stay in Nassau, Bahamas for 2 full days.
Okay.
Because they went straight to Nassau and people were so upset. So upset. But Mercury's in retrograde.
I was about to say, was this during Mercury retrograde?
Yes, it was. So it was par for the course. And I was like, you know what? It's okay. Because then we got to stay, we were ported for 2 days.
Uh-huh.
And then people could stay out all night. They could do whatever they want. They didn't have to be back to the ship by 8:30.
Okay.
It actually worked out really well.
Well, that's great. That's great. And you had some chance to unwind and really take in the sights, really, the crisp, clean air and the water and just
the water is just.
I know.
It's amazing. It's just
crystal
this
blue
color. Oh,
yeah.
It's just absolute. It's just. There are no words for it. It's that wonderful.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, I think the closest I've been to that is Hawaii. And have you been to Hawaii?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
Gorgeous.
I actually love Hawaii.
Yeah.
But there's we went to a private beach and they had all the dolphins there, so you could swim with the dolphins and do all kinds of stuff. So it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Wow, that's cool. Really cool.
So I'm rested and ready.
Rested and ready. Well, you needed that vacation because you were putting in 14 plus hour days. With readings and everything else. So I'm glad you got the vacation that you deserved. And
Thank you.
Yes. And so since being back, how you feel?
Great. Because
Yeah.
I'm I'm ready.
Yeah.
I took it easy today. I have a day job also, a big corporate job.
Okay. Got
So
it.
I was like, okay, nothing is going to upset me today. Nothing is going to ruin.
Right. Well, I want to put out the phone number for people to give us a call if they want to call in for a sample reading. And we're going to get into discussing your past life regression experience that you text me about. I can't wait to hear about the details. And I said, let's save it for the air and get into it on the air. So the phone number, though, is 323-524-2599. Again, 323-524-2599. And let us know what you'd like to talk to Christine about. She's going to give you a free sample reading. And again, be as specific as possible with your questions and the area of focus that you would like to look at today. Okay. All right. So, Christine, tell us all about this regression experience. First of all, of course, one really needs to believe in reincarnation, right, to understand past lives.
Well, let me tell you something. Believe or not, the stuff that you come out with that, I taped mine. So,
Okay.
And then when you go research and you find out that these people actually did exist, it's mind-blowing. It's really, really, and I've been doing a lot of research on it since I did it.
Uh-huh.
And, Harvard University, there's a lot of studies,
Yes.
a lot of children.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly.
A lot of children in India also. So they've done extensive studies on this. But you know, I'm a little bit of, I was a little bit of a skeptic myself
Which
because I
is
was like,
good.
I don't know if she's going to be able to put me under.
Yeah.
It took all of like 3 minutes.
Wow.
And, you know, she has you bring your own, her name is Kelly,
Uh-huh.
and you guys will be meeting her because I think I'm going to have her on the show next week.
Great.
And so what she does is she has you bring your own pillow and blanket, and she lays you down, and then she pulls, you know, she goes through a whole thing, and then she's like, okay, now you're going to drop through the bed, and you literally just like whoop.
Wow.
And then she tells you, you know, you're in a room and there's no windows or doors in the room, and then she has you create your own door in the room.
Okay.
And then she says, you know, where are you?
Uh-huh.
Where are you now? And for me, I'm like, it's dark. And she's like, what do you mean it's dark? I'm like, I can't see anything. It's black in here. And she said, well, look at your feet and tell me what your feet look like. And I looked at my feet and I said, I have baby's feet. I'm a baby.
Wow.
And she's like, what do you mean? I said, I'm a baby. I have little toes and little feet. And I said, I think I'm in a womb. I think I'm still in my mom.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, you know, because your body goes through all the motions that you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll shake, you'll shiver, you'll have reactions with your body. And I actually like physically went through the birthing process. And if I didn't tape it, I wouldn't have believed it myself.
Wow.
And then it was funny because I came out and it was like, I'm like, oh, it's bright. And I was like, who is that man? I was like, there's a man here. And I was telling her, I think it's my dad. And I could see my brother and sister in the background running around. And I was telling her, because I could hear when you're under, you can hear what everyone's saying. You can see and you can hear. So my little sister was giggling, and I was telling her, you know, oh, my sister's giggling. She's giggling. My dad's yelling at her to stop because the baby's coming. And then I saw myself with my mom in the field, and she was wearing one of those, you know, those things they wear around them, and I was in it. And that's how she used to carry me.
Mm-hmm.
And she asked me what time period it was, and I told her, and she's like, asked me what everybody was wearing, and I'm like, we wear robes. Everybody's wearing robes. Men wear robes. So that was just the beginning.
Uh-huh.
And then from there, I must have done 4 or 5 lifetimes.
Okay.
But it's just an incredible experience. I actually went through a lifetime where I was an Indian, and I was running and trying to warn everybody of what was going on.
Uh-huh.
And I was killed. I was speared or shot or something in my chest. And I actually felt myself die. And I was in a field, and I was like, why isn't anybody coming to save me? I'm going to die all by myself. And I actually watched my body stay there, and I actually watched myself go up.
Ooh.
And disappear. And then I was like, I'm here again. And she's like, where are you? I'm like, where you go? And I started talking about the rooms that you go into.
Uh-huh.
I said, there's all these rooms. And I went through the whole thing with her. And then after I went in the room, and I said, we study. We're always studying. And I went into the room, and she said, well, who are you? And I said, I'm not a man or a woman. I am. And she's like, explain that. And I said, there is no explanation. I am.
Wow.
That's all I am, is I am. I'm not a man. I'm not a woman. I'm just
Energy?
Okay. Basically, I could see the white energy.
Uh-huh.
And I just told her about, you know, what happened, all the different rooms and where you're at. Everybody doesn't go in the same door, the same room. And I was reading some books this weekend, and I hadn't read, on the trip.
Yeah. And
basically, like, I was reading Lisa Williams' book.
Yeah.
And she talked about the same exact thing that I talk about on tape. So I was, I'm sitting on the cruise like, you guys, oh my God, check this out. This is so cool. I'm like, this is exactly, and I have it on tape. So I could go back to the tape.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, I talked about the rooms, and then I could see the spirits coming up and them going back down and how the whole process works.
Huh.
So from there was just amazing. And
was that like a transit station? So like the spirits coming in and the spirits going out, like the ones that incarnating and coming back from an incarnation?
Yep.
Okay.
And I could just see this, the spirits leaving.
Yeah.
Like it was like an assembly line. Okay, next.
Wow.
Oh, and they went into another room before they left. And I believe that they were doing their Akashic records. They were
so
sitting
like their soul planning.
Absolutely. They're
Okay.
Akashic records.
Yeah.
And then after they finished that, they would leave.
Huh. Well, that
So-
was interesting because I was going to ask you, during that process, was there a time where she took you in between lives or when you just ended a life? So, like when you're getting ready to incarnate in one or when you just finished one, if there was a process of where you actually saw your guides or communicated with your guides to plan your next life or the
Yeah.
review from your previous life.
She did. That's
Okay.
when I was talking about all the
Wow.
rooms and the doors.
So cool.
And studying. I kept telling her, we study for
Yeah.
our next life. We go through the process of looking at who we hurt in this lifetime, and we actually have to live their emotions. We don't get to live ours. We get to live the pain or whatever we inflicted on somebody else, so that we learn from everything.
Right, from their experience. So
Yep,
how we made them feel.
Yeah, we learn from our behaviors. And then at one point, I started channeling somebody much higher than me, almost like a cryon type of person. And his name was so complicated, I actually had to spell it for her. And then he just spoke. Like he spoke about all kinds of things.
Wow. And you have all this on video.
I have all this. I have it all on tape. It's just.
Oh my
it's
God! I
everything.
can't wait to see this.
Yeah,
Are
and
you going to
she's
share
asking-
all of it? Are you going to put it up online?
And so like I had my list of questions, and because when I lived there, she got so excited, she totally went off of forget my list.
Off the script.
She went off.
She's like, I'm going off script with you, Christine.
Yeah, she started asking like, how can I help? Why are we here? All of these questions, and just the stuff I came out with was just. I mean, he explained who he was. And that they're watchers and they watch over us, and and I was just it was when I woke up she was crying.
Wow.
She was physically crying, and I went through a stage where with things I had seen that I cried in the first 10 or 15 minutes. I was weeping. You could hear me weeping.
Wow.
And then she started asking me, what's going on? How can we make the world a better place? What do we have to do? How can we work on our ascension? Blah blah blah. And and he was telling her, meditate. You have to meditate. Meditation is very important. Getting in touch with yourself. Getting in touch with your soul. So
to go within.
You have to go within.
Yeah.
You have to go within. Too much.
Yeah.
We spend too much time on the outside.
Yeah, that was a reminder to myself actually when I heard
Yeah,
you say
and my
that.
grandmother
Yeah.
used to say that a lot when I was a little kid.
Yeah.
She's like, you can't live on the outside like normal people do. She was like, you're different. You have to live on the inside. People spend too much time living on the outside in.
Yeah.
You need to live on the inside out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
And that's when all the synchronicities and things like that start happening more often because you recognize what's really happening versus having the blinders on when you're just sort of going about your day, right?
Yeah.
That's when the magic happens.
Yeah. And when you go through, and when something comes through and channels the way I did,
Yeah.
When I woke up, besides being hungry and thirsty, it's just like there was no words. There was no words. I was just shocked. And, she asked me, she was asking me questions, and I was like, it's the knowing.
Yeah.
It's when you're under and something comes through like that, it's the knowing, and just like I am. She's like, who are you? And I'm like, no, you don't understand. I am. That's all you are when you ascend and you are between being a man or a woman is I am. You don't have an identity while you're there.
Yeah, the soul, right? So the soul is genderless.
Absolutely.
So then we take a
Soul is-
gender when we come in,
Yep.
which is so interesting with everything going on with transgender right now. It makes you really, because I believe that's a soul choice, right? I believe that there's a lot that goes on with that soul choice that comes later in life sometimes, or maybe comes immediately at birth, and you just you're like, why am I in this body when I feel like I should be in that body?
Right.
So it really makes you think when you look at it from that perspective, don't you think?
Yeah, it absolutely does, because going through this, I found in most of my lifetimes I was a man. And ever since I was a little girl, I would go into a church and I cry my eyes out. I bawl. No reason why. Just go into a church, waterworks turn on, have no idea why. So as she was doing my second life, we were talking about, you have so many lifetimes. I think the important ones were coming through because I had asked her, like, let's get the important lifetimes that make me who I am today. And I was like a monk or a priest or something. And I actually saw myself in the, and everybody was calling me father. And it was during a time because you hear me at one point saying, get the women and children into the church so we can save them. It must have been the Crusades or something.
Okay.
And everybody, we were getting them and keeping them safe, and we were huddled and making sure that, you know, because they wouldn't touch the church and they wouldn't touch the children and the women. And so, and then I went through my crossing over. I saw myself real old.
Okay.
And all the people around me.
So the reunion, or before you crossed? Okay.
Before I crossed.
Okay.
Yeah. The day that I passed.
Okay.
The day that I died. I saw that, and I saw all the people there, you know, because they knew I was crossing over, and I witnessed my whole funeral and everything.
Wow. And this was from a previous life or into the future?
It was I think the second lifetime that
Okay,
we had.
okay, because I didn't know if you can quantum jump in this experience too, or if it's all just past.
We haven't tried that. What we're gonna
Okay.
do, Kelly and I, from now on, is we're gonna meet once a week, and she's gonna put me under every week for an hour. And they're gonna have different questions. You know, she's gonna have questions, and I think we're gonna have people and people asking questions.
Yeah.
But I haven't tried anything in the future.
Okay.
Actually, the entity that did come through talked about some stuff in the future, and he talked about flooding, like in the fall. He said there's going to be massive flooding.
Wow.
And she was asking, you know, what do we do to save people, or how do we get them out of harm's way? And his reply was, you can't. Like, it's going to happen. It's something that's coming, and there's flooding that's coming in the fall.
Yeah, and I know that's sometimes hard when they say you can't do anything, but a lot of this is based on soul agreements that were made prior to the incarnation. And you know, as you're reading Lisa's books and other books and probably your own studies, you found that that's true. You know, like we make a lot of these decisions prior to coming into this life, and some things on a universal level that are, you know, happening to many people is really group consciousness and in the same agreement. Yeah, so
absolutely. And it's just amazing when you're under.
Yeah.
Like what you can hear and what you see.
Yeah.
Because it's very real, and you are there. You are there. You're going through the emotions. You're going through the pain. You're going through you feel everything just as though you're going through it again.
Wow. Yeah.
So when you wake up, you look like you've run a 50-mile marathon. And
just
you're
the
tired.
Emotional roller coaster that you were on. Yeah.
And
Wow.
you're hungry and thirsty, and but it puts a lot of things now in my life in perspective, and now I understand things.
Okay. That's about the next question I was going to get to, was sort of, before I even get to that question, I was going to say, was there anything from your past life that is affecting you now in this life? Any type of trauma that you may have uncovered from past lives that is affecting you now in this life that you're working on healing? Or it doesn't even have to be anything traumatic. It could even be, you know, just anything significant that you've experienced.
Little things like,
okay,
you know, I'm prone to chest pains.
Oh,
Well,
so,
now that I-
okay, yeah.
Okay, so now that I know that I was, you know, killed,
Yeah, with the
whatever
spear.
was shot,
Yeah.
something was shot through my chest.
Yeah.
Now I understand where that stuff comes from. And sometimes you'll see people will have birthmarks on them,
Yeah.
and when they regress them, they find out what the birthmark is from.
You know, it just makes you really think, if the soul is the container of lifetimes, that's what I believe, you know, like the soul contains all the different lifetimes, then each time we come back, it's not like we come back with a clean slate.
No.
Right?
Nope. Right. You come back with things that you didn't finish in a past lifetime, or things undone that you needed to finish.
So some of the patterns and traumas we've experienced in past lives, we carry over into this life. I mean, these, I guess, will be questions too for our therapist when we have her on. But you know, it's stuff that it's very intriguing, and it makes you start thinking about all that. Because I've read a lot of stuff about, you know, life between life regression with you know, Brian Weiss, Dr. Brock, and then also there's been several books written, like Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. Those books changed my life, and that's Michael Newton's work. And so these are kind of the questions I think I'll have for our therapist when she comes on. Her name's Kelly, right?
Yep.
When Kelly comes on, this is going to be a great show. Looking forward to it.
You're going to really enjoy her. She's very good at what she does. And like I said, when I woke up, she was in tears. She was crying. You can hear her on the tape, because he says to her, like, you know, you were supposed to become Chris's friend, and the two of you are supposed to work together, and you're supposed to get the word out. And it was weird because it was like the day before, it was just before I left for my trip, and it was like something was like, no, you have to do this now. Like it was now. And I like I called her and she was available the next day.
Wow.
So we did it like right away, and it was just
the synchronicity, right, of it all. Yeah, because you just met her recently too, right?
That was the first time I met her.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was the first time and so I had seen her before at Spirit Tree.
That's what I mean. You met, through Spirit Tree. Yeah.
Yeah. I had seen her at Spirit Tree, and then all of a sudden I just got, no, you need to
have a session.
Have a session, and I couldn't have it fast enough. And I have it, like I said, I probably listened to it 50 times already, and every time I'm just floored.
No.
But the first regression they took me through that one was just unbelievable, because I saw myself being born.
Yeah.
And then they asked me what my name was, and I said, my name is John. I'm a friend of God. And I saw myself as a boy sitting around his feet with a bunch of other people. I watched myself grow up and be friends. That's when the tears started coming out. And I was like, we are friends. We're friends for life. Like, he is my friend. And I went and did some research, and I looked a lot of this stuff up, and there it was right in the Bible. I was like, this is nuts.
Yeah.
This is nuts. I've not read the Bible cover to cover.
Okay.
So for me, and then to find this man, and then it says they were friends. Like, it's the stuff I said when I went and looked it up. It was in quotes.
Right. Wow.
So I was like, I was just off the hook. I was like, this is nuts.
It's interesting because I was watching some videos on YouTube about past life experiences and how they can validate in this life. They remember, they'll go to a country they've never been to in this life and go to specific places and find certain things that they hid away from lives. I mean, it's unbelievable, some of this stuff. And just go on YouTube and research past life regression, past life accounts, stories, and just the investigative work that goes behind it is how they match it up from past to present is incredible to me.
Well, I was watching one this morning.
Oh, you were?
And it was from a while ago, and they took these they regressed these 3 women, and one of them was in the Holocaust. So they give them a map, right?
Yeah.
They give them a map when they're under, and they tell them, you're still going to be under, but you're going to open your eyes and you're going to show me where you lived. And they have them pointed out, and then they tell them that everything they talk about.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
They're going to remember when they get there. And they actually flew this woman to the city, and then she walked them through like this church, what the church used to look like, where the statue was, everything. And the only person that knew was this really old guy that was a historian. And he said, there's no way that she would know this stuff.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Yeah.
And they did it with like 3 different people. And, they actually walked through and said, no, this is where the bathroom used to be, or this is where this used to be.
Right.
Or there's hidden stairways underneath.
Yeah.
And then the historian was like, yeah. And, they were like, is that published anywhere? And they're like, no, it's not published anywhere.
Wow.
So
that's what I'm talking about, where there's no way they could have known. And yet here they are walking in like they, was just here last week. I mean, it's and you can see these people like matter of fact. She's like, no, this used to be, this train station was never here. This used to be a big lake, and blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And, but the thing is, when they put them under, they say, you're going to remember this past life, and you're going to remember everything. So when you get there, you'll be able to tell them where everything was. And it's just amazing.
Yeah.
So having done this myself.
Right.
Yes.
Skeptics would say, oh, they're programming them to believe certain things so that when they get there, then they realize it, and then that's why they're seeing.
No, because the questions, I mean, they showed everything on tape, but when Kelly did mine, she was just asking me questions. Where are you?
Yeah. Right.
Where are you?
Right.
And at first she's like, where? I'm like, it's dark here. I'm like, it's black. I can't see anything. And she's like, look at your feet.
Yeah.
And I looked down, and it was funny. I could see a baby's toes wiggling, like little tiny feet with the toes. And she's like, what do you see? And I'm like, okay, I see my feet, and I think I'm a baby because they're baby's feet. And And then the whole birth, like I was shaking and going through the whole thing and like squeezing and doing all this kind of stuff. It was just amazing.
Wow.
It was just and she's like, what does the man look like? And I told her what my father looked like. I told her what my brother and sister looked like. I told her what the house looked like. The houses were all close together and it looked like we didn't have a lot of money.
Okay. Yeah. So what was the most meaningful experience that you took away from this?
I think the most meaningful one was his name was like Anastar came in and he started just talking, talking about what happens when we cross over and, all the studying. And I mean, that was
because he knew that you would be sharing it with, for instance, this audience right now. That's probably why he came through. So that because he knew that you would be someone who would pass this information along.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we talked about.
Okay.
Because when she woke me up, I was like, I think we're supposed to be friends and I think we're supposed to be going through this together.
Yeah.
And she was like, yeah.
He sounds more like an ascended master or a high-level guide.
This is somebody extremely high. This is someone that's very, 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 very high.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah, exactly.
It's kind of like a cryon type thing, where...
What do you mean by that?
Have you ever listened to cryon?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay, you have to go on YouTube. My grandmother used to talk about it when I was little all the time.
Okay.
He's an ascended master that you go on YouTube and look up cryon. I think it's Kryon or something like that.
Sure.
And he comes with all kinds of the knowledge, just the knowledge that was coming out of my mouth when I listened to it. I'm like, is that really me saying that?
Okay, so I just Googled. So there actually is a cryon.com, a love-filled and empowering angelic being from modest beginnings. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's channeling. So he's channeling messages. Lee Carroll. Lee Carroll looks like. I don't know. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep. So when, whatever this was that was coming through, he was talking about like serious things like, the earth and how it was made and, and the floods coming up and, nothing we can do and how do we raise our vibration. And he was talking about meditate. I mean, and it was just, my voice changed.
Well, I think that would be really cool if you could get a copy of that video and we could play that maybe on the show or something, just maybe particular segments.
Yeah. And maybe what we can do also is we'll do live where she puts me under.
Yeah.
Then we'll have some questions or you can come up with, people can send questions in and then we'll ask some. And these aren't questions like, am I going to stay with my boyfriend type questions? These are meaningful questions of like life and things like that.
Deeper questions. I mean, it's not that that's not deep. I mean, it is part of your growth. So in relationships, of course. So, but I do see what you're saying in terms of affecting more than just your life. It's affecting so many other lives. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This is the broad spectrum of I am.
Right.
That was very neat.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love how you put that in.
That was very neat when I was, I was like, and it was funny because I'd be like, oh, I'm back again.
Yeah.
And she's like, what? I'm like, I'm back again. I'm back up here again. I'm back up. And then at one point I was like, oh, they're sending me back again. I have to go back again. Wow. And then I'd be back in another body.
Whew.
It was an hour's worth. So it was all over the place.
Yeah.
But the one part, where I kind of went up and there's doors. And she's like, what do you mean I'm like, different doors. Everybody goes in through a different door. There's a different door it depends on where you're at in your ascension and everything, and which door you'd go through. And then when I got in the door, it was like you were studying. And she's like, "What do you look like?" I'm like, "I'm a mist." And she's like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "I am."
Mm-hmm.
And that was the only way for me to get across to her what I meant was I'm like, I am.
Yeah. And I can really vouch for that because when I had my near-death experience, because I went through a period where when I left my body, I was nothing but energy. And I couldn't define a shape or anything. I was just energy. All I had was more of the mental energy so that if I would think of something, I didn't really even have the senses as much as more maybe a sense of feeling. Because at one point, then the sense turned on of vision, and I ended up in this big white room. It was nothing but white, and I couldn't tell where it ended or began. It was just nothing but white. And you hear people talk about the tunnel and all of that, but I can't make sense of all of what I experienced. I can just tell you that what I heard was a voice that spoke to me that was both male and female when it spoke. So it had a dualistic type of tone to it. And before I could get any questions out fully in my mind, the answer would come to me mid-question. So as soon as I would think of it, the answer would be there, and it would come through that voice that was both male and female. And I heard tones that I've never heard before, at least in this life, and I felt a magnetic pull, like I was being pulled by something. It was, I mean, these are just what I can recall from that moment in 2000 when I had this experience.
That sounds, And I didn't go through a tunnel or anything
Right.
like that. I was just here, and then I saw myself ascending away from my body. And then I was like, whoop.
Yeah, especially when you're going, I think what you're having was like a digest version because you were, they knew you had limited time to experience all of this. And so I think they wanted you to experience the lives that you had, but they also wanted the message to come through for humanity. So it was probably the digest version, you know, kind of like we're doing on the show right now.
The light is very bright.
Yes. And
it's just pure.
Yes.
There's no other way to explain it, but it's just bright.
Yeah.
And it's very, very pure, and it's just, it's everything.
And when you came back, were you filled with like so much love that you just wanted to hug everyone? Like you just wanted to be.
Well, first you got to kind of ground yourself and get back inside of yourself.
Yeah.
You know, for me being a medium, I think that's what made it more of an experience than maybe what most people go through is because, you know.
Yeah.
But first you got to get yourself together, and you're tired.
Yeah.
You know, you're tired and you're thirsty and you're hungry.
Sure. I remember you saying
that. And then, but you just feel this, like you wake up and you just feel love. You know what it's like.
Yeah. Because you were there.
Yeah.
Yeah. You were connected with Source in a way that you weren't connected, you know, here because of the duality that goes on this world, you know.
It's just absolutely, you know, and she was asking questions like, why is Christine here? And he was like, you know, why we always send her? We send her to help. She said, we send her down to help. We send her to help, you know.
Yeah.
So it's just, I've always felt like that since I was a little kid.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then looking back at my past lives, I've always been sent to help.
And that's what you're doing now.
So the thing is to take this information and then we're going to make a series, you know, do a series, and then I'm going to attempt to write a book.
Great.
So we can get this out there so that people.
Well, I hope you share some clips of it at least. You got us all really, really interested. We're excited to. Yeah.
I don't think I was given this information to sit on.
Of course not. Of course not. Yeah.
I think this happened because I'm supposed to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. Of course.
You know?
I mean,
and I really realized, like, you don't die. We do not die. We just go up. We go through what we have to go through.
We go through a different door. Yeah. Like you said, go through a different door. Wow. That's amazing. Well, we do have a caller for you right now. You want to take some calls?
Sure.
All right. So let's give the number again, 323-524-2599. Folks, please call in because the lines fill up real quick and we only have limited time to do the sample readings. So I know a lot of people are shy until they get a first caller on the line or two or three, and then they call in, and then by the end of the show, we've got a whole line full of people that are trying to get through and we're out of time. So please call in, 323-524-2599. I see some comments on Facebook. I don't see all of them until after the show, but they're saying, this is amazing. What an amazing experience. So call in, ask your questions if you have questions for Chris about her experience that she
yeah, you can ask about that too. I'll answer anything anybody.
Yeah, she's an open book.
Thanks, John.
Just kidding. No, I mean, she'll, with discretion, she'll share what she needs to share. But okay, so here we go. Area code 518779 is on the line. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
Hi, it's Brittany, and I'm calling from Schenectady.
Hi, Brittany. How are you?
Hey, Christine. I'm good. How are you?
Good. What's going on? How can I help you?
I was wondering if you can connect with my great-grandmother who had passed and kind of give me just a general, like, message from her, kind of reassurance on, like, life and relationship.
You have a lot of stuff going on currently?
Yes.
Okay. This is great-grandmother, right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you give me a first name?
Teresa.
Great-grandmother. Wow. She died a while ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
I want to say about, oh my God, probably about 6 to 7 years ago.
Okay. Yeah, because she's talks about being gone for a long time. Was this a very religious woman?
I believe she was, but like again, I mean, when I was a kid growing up with her, like she was very church oriented, but she wasn't like too much into it and overdoing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe she had a spiritual side to her.
Yeah. Was she Catholic?
Yes.
Okay, because she talks about going to church. She
Okay.
how old were you when she crossed over?
I want to say, what am I? Let's see. I want to say 19.
Okay. Okay. Is your dad still here?
Yeah, I had a couple of people passing. Yes, he is.
Okay. Who's is this dad's mom?
This is Dad's grandmother.
Mom's mom. Dad's mom's mom.
Yeah.
Okay. Because she talks about your
Dad's mom.
okay. Your dad's mom's. Okay, yeah. Well,
Sorry,
she
I broke
talks
up.
she talks about your father. She talks about your dad.
Okay.
How is his health? How's he doing? Your dad?
I think stuff's kind of hidden and kind of kept away from me, but I mean, he doesn't really open up too much about it. But I don't think he's doing too well. I think he could be doing better.
Yeah, he's got some health issues going on. Is he in his 60s, 70s, 60s?
No, unfortunately, he actually probably feels that way because of his work. But he's actually in his 40s.
He's in his 40s. Okay.
But I think work and kind of life kind of puts him at that age.
Yeah, because I feel like that's the physical age he feels like he is. He's going through a lot. He's going through a lot. She spends a lot of time watching over him, making sure he's okay. Your parents still together?
I'm sorry, say that again?
Are your parents still together?
No. My mother and my dad separated young, but my dad is with my stepmother, and they've been together since I was a kid, like baby.
Maybe. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to tell you to keep an eye on your dad and keep an eye on his health. What is this about a wedding? Are you getting married?
We want to, yes.
Okay.
Like we're engaged. But I just didn't know as far as kind of where we stand over everything.
I see a wedding. She's showing me a wedding, and
Yeah.
she's smiling.
It's small, right?
Have you guys been together for a while?
Yes, since high school.
Okay. We got some ups and downs going on?
Yes.
Okay. You got a down going on right now, right? There's a down. I feel like there's something going on. There's a down. It's coming back up.
Yes.
Stop worrying. Okay, do me a favor. You worry way too much, she said. Way too much. Woosah. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. It's gonna okay, just take a deep breath. You guys are going through a lot right now. A lot right now. She said to tell you this too shall pass. You understand that?
Okay, good. Okay, good.
She said this too shall pass. I see a wedding. I think you are definitely going to get married. Do you have a date planned? What's with the fall? Did you have something in the fall planned? Not this year, but.
It was the end of actually midsummer, but they were kind of thinking about moving a vacation back, but we're not really sure exactly the date. We kind of just want to make it small and kind of like a getaway vacation more than a big wedding.
Okay, I get that, but she went like a lot of people are going to miss this if you guys get up and fly away, and I don't think it's going to go over very well.
Yeah.
Because she's
I don't think many people are going to be happy, but unfortunately, I think more so for us, we would be.
Yeah. Well, I
Is that
think,
what you get from there?
Yeah, I'm getting from her that if you guys just take off and get married, people are going to be upset. Is his grandmother still here? The gentleman that you're with?
Grandmother, yes.
Okay.
On his mom's side, not his dad. His dad has passed away.
He's going to be one of the people that's not going to be happy. Tell you right now. Okay.
Who?
I think his grandmother still here? Did you say yes?
No, his grandmother passed. No, his grandmother passed.
Both of them passed?
No, just dad's. My fiance's dad's mom had passed.
Okay,
My
because
fiance's mom's mom is still here.
okay, because she's showing me an older person, an older woman that's going to be upset if there's no wedding. Do you understand what I'm saying? So
Okay.
before you guys get up and just run off, you might
Yeah.
want to think about actually having, you know, or have a ceremony or something here for them, something small.
Yeah.
Because
Okay.
okay, she's talking about that.
Okay.
Why is she showing me a car? Is there problems with the car or something going on with the car?
We have 2 cars. We're looking to get a bigger vehicle, but money's pretty tight. And our one car is kind of up and down, but it's still, both of them are still like, able to get around and do what we need to do. But we definitely want like a bigger family car.
Okay. And does someone have children already?
We do. Yeah, we both do.
Okay, because she's showing me the children and everybody
They're
is
always together.
do you sometimes have bickering with the kids or something going on with the children?
Well, my one son is autistic, so my my youngest is kind of like all over him trying to play, and the 2 of them have been fighting constantly. They're
Okay.
both very, very young, but my oldest out of the 2 kind of doesn't understand the whole sharing, and it's a constant like fight with them over toys and getting along and stuff like that.
Okay.
So
'Cause
yeah, there's a little bit of a bickering in the house.
Okay. She shows me that the kids and all that are a part of all this. That's, you know, making you a little crazy. Woosah.
Okay.
You need like a weekend getaway. Okay, like a weekend to just back up from everything, take a deep breath. And then she started talking about your job. Your job. What's going on with your job?
Yeah. With medical stuff going on, I keep kind of having to go in and out of work, unfortunately. So it's like I've been losing a lot of time and being out kind of for medical issues. And I just got put out again, and I've been out for a couple more days.
Okay. So are you worried
So,
about that?
I am,
Okay.
because I just switched jobs.
Okay. So this is a new job and you've had to leave already from not feeling well?
Yeah.
This will be
Yeah.
okay. Okay. What's you have something with your breathing going on or something? What's going on?
Well, my hands, I have like skin lesions that keep coming up, and they thought that it was allergic reactions, and they've been testing it, and just more stuff keeps kind of happening. I just was in the hospital again for hives all over my face, and it's just like there's no explanations for anything. And like it seems like every time I get a reaction, it's kind of getting worse and worse.
Some of this might be due to stress also.
Okay.
Some of this might be due to stress. So I want you to, like I said, you need a woosah. You got to take a step back and just relax. Okay? Because sometimes we get ourselves
so you see it more of me over worrying about everything, right?
Yeah, because you're too stressed out. You got to relax. Relax yourself. De-stress yourself. And, you know, because it's disease is dis-ease. It's dis-ease within our body, dis-ease with what's going on around us. Okay? This new job that you just switched over to, they're going to be fine with it. But once again, I almost feel like it's something that you're either taking in or it's touching you or you're breathing it in. And I don't know.
Yeah, which one it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, I've been kind of like looking at labels more and more and kind of making sure that everything I use at my job is not like anything to cause reactions, but it's like we still can't get down to the bottom of it all.
You're allergic to plastic?
Am I allergic to what?
Is it plastic or is it the thing in the gloves that you put on? What is that?
It's the gloves. I'm allergic to latex that I know of, and like the powder that they put on the gloves.
Yep.
So I've been using ones that don't have any of the powder and they don't have any latex. And I've been looking, even going into the companies and calling. There is one box that I haven't had a chance to get a hold of the company, but I've been trying to stay away from those two. And then trying to use my own, but it still seems to be having these reactions.
Okay. So only use, you know what I'm saying? So be careful of that stuff. But I feel like the wedding, everything's going to happen. You just got to relax. Just relax.
Okay.
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 Do you have any other questions?
And overall, everything, like, as far as kids seem to be good, right?
Yeah. I mean, the only thing for you is the kids all trying to get along. You know what I'm saying? And as a
Okay.
parent, that can be,
Yeah.
I have children. That can be stressful when our kids fight, or you know what I mean? It's extremely stressful.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I think that's pretty much it. No other messages from her, right?
No, just that she loves you. You know that. You
Yes.
know that. She
Okay.
loves you. She's
Thank you,
always with you.
Christine.
And she said, stop worrying about everything. It'll work itself out.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Good. I thank you again.
You're welcome, Miss Brittany. Have a good night, honey.
You too. Take care, Christine.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. Wow, that was a deep reading. That's quite a bit you covered there.
Mm-hmm.
She-
I got to tell you, ever since I did this past life regression thing,
yeah.
it's been like someone turned on the faucet.
Oh, okay. So they turned up the dial, huh? And
Yeah.
I get it. And so the grandmother was relaying a lot of the messages to you from her perspective. And okay. And then that was just kind of creating a what would we say, a tapestry, really, of everything that was going on.
What I've learned, and from
Mm-hmm.
listening to I Am and
Yeah.
knowing and On Star, is that I have to trust myself a little more, and I have to listen. I have to really still my mind. You have to make your mind very still, and you have to listen, and then you just have to trust that what's coming is correct.
Yeah. Right. And get over the fear of being wrong or saying the wrong thing. So just trusting that the information coming through as the messenger is what is meant to be shared.
The way that spirit comes in, some people see, some people can sense things, some people hear. I have all of them.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying to focus a little more on the hearing part.
Got it. Yeah, I do understand what you're talking about, because sometimes you have what's called claircognizant. So you just know, and you don't know what that came from. If it's just if it's coming from your vision, from clairvoyance, or from clairaudience, or from clairsentient, it's just that you know. So I think that's I totally get it. I know what you're talking about. All right, so let's move on to another call, and let's go with area code 518 again, 878. 518-878. You're on the line with Christine. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
It's Gina, and I'm calling from Schenectady, New York.
All right, another Schenectady call. Okay. Thanks, Gina.
Hi, Gina. How are you?
Okay. I'm good. How are you?
Good. How can I help you?
I actually just had a question. I was thinking about going into school for nursing, and I just wanted to find out if that was something I really should go into, because it is pretty intense. So I just wanted to ask.
Okay. I think you're a little scared to do this, right?
A little nervous, yeah.
Yeah, there's some fear that goes on with this. You're the type of person that you don't like the unknown. You don't like the unknown. Yeah. When you go and do things, you like to know what you're doing and what you're getting yourself into. Okay? That's why you're a little apprehensive with this. And I think you're thinking about, like, I have to memorize things, all this kind of stuff, right?
Yes.
If you want to do this, you can do this, but you have to make up your mind that this is what I want to do. Is this a total career change for you?
Yes, completely.
Yeah, I think that's why you're scared too, because this is 180 from what you're doing right now. This is completely different, but it's a solid future, and I think that's what you're looking at.
Yes.
Okay. Are you worried at all about being on your feet all the time?
What do you mean, like financially or physically?
No, physically, with nursing.
You know what? It's not something that I really thought about, but it would be something that I would take precaution with my feet, because I used to do a job where I was on my feet a lot, and I needed, extra padding for my shoes.
Okay. So that's what I'm hearing for you. Okay. is that you're going to be on your feet a lot. So I want you to think about this before you go and decide you're going to do it. Understand?
Okay.
Okay. Because that came through loud and clear. So, but boy, you are really starting to take this to heart. Like I think the more you think about it, you're convincing yourself that you want to do it. Right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to tell you, go and do it. Just make sure you buy special shoes because you're going to be on your feet all the time. And don't worry, stop being so nervous, and don't worry about memorizing things. I see you're going to make like 2 really good friends when you're in school, and you're going to have like some sort of study groups where you're going to help each other, and you're going to like sit at the table and ask each other questions and bounce things off of each other. So I don't know if you are not like a person that has a lot of friends in your life, but I think this is going to bring a couple of extra people into your life that's going to bring a lot of happiness in. You're going to make some really good friends.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Awesome. That's a really good thing to hear. Thank you.
Yeah. So I would tell you, go ahead and do it. This is something that you've been thinking about. It'll make you financially stable. You're worrying about paying back loans. I feel like you're like, oh my God, how am I going to afford it? Everything will work itself out. It'll come. You'll get what you need to do it. Okay. So I would say, just go do it. Just do it like Nike. Just go do it.
Okay. I will definitely do it. And thank you very much.
You're welcome. Have a great night. It was really nice talking to you.
Gina, keep in touch with us and let us know how it goes, okay?
I will.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All righty. So we have time for maybe one more call. Area code 520-578. 520-578. Can we have your name, please, and where you're calling from?
This is Olivia, and I'm calling from Arizona.
Olivia from Arizona, correct?
Yes.
Great. And do you have a question for Christine?
I have a question. I'm more of a want. I've been wanting to have some sort of companionship. So now that I'm retired, I could go places, I could do things, but I don't want to do them by myself. My girlfriends don't seem to want to go anywhere, which I don't understand. But I'm looking for companionship. I would like to find that special person, that special man. I can't seem to find anybody. I go out, I go to different places. I do see men, I do meet them, but they're married or they're already
taken,
with someone already. So that's not going to work.
All right.
What else could I do? And I keep being told by different people, someone's coming. Nobody comes. So I'm just wondering, am I wasting my time waiting for someone to come, or should I just forget about it?
No, I waited like 6 years for somebody. So and people kept telling me someone was coming, but it took like 5 or 6 years. Sometimes it just, you know what I mean? You just have to be patient. Did you have somebody in your life before?
Well, I'm divorced. I was divorced about 31 years ago. And I used to go out with somebody for dinner and so on for the last dozen years or so. But nothing's ever going to happen with that man. And I've just decided he's more like a brother, more like a friend, more than anything.
Okay.
And nothing's ever going to happen with him. He doesn't want a relationship with anyone.
Right. He's too much into himself, unfortunately. And that's not the right type of person for you. He's not.
Right.
He has his heart held hostage for some reason. I don't know what happened to him, but he is not, he lets people in only so far. And then he's like, keeps you at a little bit of a distance. Right.
Right. And I've gotten mixed messages from him, but I never goes anywhere.
Well, because he's afraid.
I wish he'd just forget I was a friend.
Yeah, he's afraid. He push, pull. And that's confusing to someone that, has different intentions and wants something different. But he's not going to let anybody close to him. He just won't. He'll let them so far. And then it's almost like he does things intentionally.
Because we want you to be able to remain.
Hello?
Hi, you still there?
Yes, I was hearing the other co-host for a minute there.
Okay. So
somehow
basically,
we got this. Okay.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you clearly now. Thank you.
Okay. So, with people like him, it's like it's like he's like yes, he's like no, he's like yes, he's like no. You know, and I was saying that it's almost like he does things intentionally at some point to push you away. Like he makes you angry so that you go away. And then when he misses you, like he pulls you back in. So it's a game with him.
Right.
So you did that for a while though. You know, you did that for a while. That's good that you walked away from that. So sometimes when we're with the wrong person, it keeps the right person from coming towards us because they're still there. Is he still around? Do you still talk to him?
I do talk to him. I don't do it as often, and I don't respond to his calls as fast either. He's noticed that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I've told him I would like to find someone to have a companionship, some sort of relationship with. He's aware of that. And his response is, well, I'm trying to get ready for retirement. I'm trying to secure my funds and my position and, you know, that's involved with retirement.
Yeah, but that's what I said is he's into himself. He's not into sharing himself. He's into what can I do for myself, not who can I bring in my life. You know, but you want to know the funny part is that he misses you when you're not there. That's why he calls you. He can't commit to you, but he misses you when you're not there.
Well, I believe that.
Yeah, he does.
I'm a very good person. I know I'm a good catch if we look at things that way, although I'm not like that. There's other people that would like to go out with me, but they're attached. And, you know, I'm not going to do that.
No, that's not what you want to do.
I don't need someone that's attached. You know, I need someone that's free and can start a relationship with me.
Okay, let me ask you a quick question because I just got a message. Have you, and I know I don't push eHarmony, but have you ever tried eHarmony?
I did for a while, and I actually met two people, and they were not my cup of tea. One of them never had time to meet me in person, just kept stringing me along, so finally I just told him I don't have time for this. That went on for months, like 5 months. They couldn't meet me. And then the other one, I actually met that person, but he already had someone, and I did confront him after I met him the first time. It was like my second call to him. I said, I know you already have someone. And he admitted he did. And I just told him, you know, try to make a relationship with that person, and by all means not to meet anyone else till he was done figuring out if that lady was going to fit into his life. So those have been my two experiences.
Okay, so I'm gonna tell you, and was it eHarmony or was it something else? Was it eHarmony or was it another site?
Right, it was Harmony.
Okay, do me a favor. I know it's going to sound a little crazy, and I know you had 2 bad experiences. Try it again. Try it again, and try eHarmony. Don't go on another one. Try eHarmony again. I think you gave up a little too soon. And remember, the way the universe works is that you have to be available, and the other person has to be available at the same time. Okay? So I think for you, it's just bad timing, but I want you to try again. And I don't know why I'm hearing December. Don't know why, but I'm just letting you know that I just heard December. Okay?
Okay.
And I know December seems like it's a long ways away, but I always give the message that I hear, and I heard December. I don't know quite what's going to happen in December, if it's, you know, but I heard December. So you're just going to have to be a little more patient. Okay? And the gentleman that keeps coming in and going out and coming in and going out, you know, you might want to tell him, okay, it's been fun, but I'm kind of done with this, and then leave it at that. And then really concentrate on bringing that other person into your life. Okay? Really, really, really sit and meditate and just tell your guides that you want the right person to come into your life. Someone that's honest. Okay?
Yeah, I would write out a list of qualities of what you're looking for. Write out a list of qualities of what you're looking for, and manifest that person into your life. I know that sometimes that's easier said than done, but just keep doing it, and it'll happen. Because if other people are telling you that it's going to happen, it's going to happen. It just may not be your timing. It's just a matter of focusing to, let's say, let's speed it up, spirits. Let's get it going.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be nice if it got. We don't have too much time left.
I hear you. But
things are going very fast. Time is accelerated. So.
It's definitely true. But speaking of time, unfortunately, we are running out of time, so we have to clear the line so the next studio can get on the air.
Thank you.
But thank you so much for calling, and keep in touch with us and let us know how things are going. Okay.
All right, I will.
All right, thank
All
you.
right, have
Okay.
a good night, hon.
Bye. Thank
Bye-bye.
you, Christina.
Yeah, we're unfortunately, Christine. It's 6:01, so we're over time, and the next studio is trying to log in. I think that's the call that we heard come through earlier when she was on. Yeah. So I just want to let people know we'll be back next week, same time, same place, here at ubnradio.com. Also on Facebook Live, and be sure to share the video. Enter in. Tag a person when you share the video. So click the share button here on Facebook Live. Then in the comments, tag a person to watch the video, and then we'll enter you in to win a free 30-minute session with Christine. That'd be a free 30-minute reading with Christine, and we'll pull that winner next week. All right.
Okay, so we'll take everybody from this week and everybody from next week, and I'm going to have Kelly on next week. And
Great.
Call in and ask Kelly questions about regression and all that kind of stuff.
Excellent. And hopefully we'll have some clips from your regression to share.
Yes, and
by
I'll have
then
some clips
too.
for you.
All right. And your other homework is to watch this movie, Astral City. I think it's funny that you didn't see it before you did your regression, because probably would have influenced it in some way. But it'd be curious for you to see it and come back and tell me about it.
Okay.
All right, everyone. You take care. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night. Bye, John.
Bye.